You may be seated. Good morning. Today we are very fortunate to have a group here. We're going to talk about some pretty serious stuff. I am always very proud of our school about how much we do care for each other. I'm not saying there's not conflicts. I'm not saying there's not moments where people say things they shouldn't, or are not mean, or don't say hurtful things. But I do feel we really do try to take care of one another. A lot of it being the fact that some of you, I look at the seniors here, some of you have been sitting next to each other for 13 years. And so you're more than just classmates, you're almost like brothers and sisters. Sometimes that's not a good thing either, right? But I think what these gentlemen are going to talk about today are some pretty serious things that are going around in our community and around the country. Unfortunately, even in our area recently, we've had some suicides of young people. And so I think it's always good for us, on occasion, to talk about the serious things that do go on with people your age, and not just here, but around the country. So I give to you sweethearts and heroes.
Good morning. Sorry about the sound. Who knows what the name of that sport is? That's the sport of mixed martial arts. I'm going to tell you one thing about mixed martial arts, and I'm not going to mention it for the rest of the time that we're together. I hate fighting. There's nothing that I find more despicable, there's nothing that I find more hurtful, that when I see a young man or a young woman get into a fight to try and solve their problems. Now it's my responsibility that when I show young men and young women what I like to do in my free time, it's my responsibility to educate them. And what better place than within the walls of education. So if I ran down right now, found a dictionary in the library, opened it up to the word fighting, here's what you'd find. It's a verb to use violent physical means such as blows, fists, or weapons to overpower someone. Now some of you are going to say, aha, that's exactly what you were doing. You were using your fist to overpower someone. The key in the definition, students, teachers, is the word violence. I've never gone into a ring and thought, man, I can't wait to kill that guy. I can't wait to murder. I have always gone into the ring, students, educators, in the spirit of competition. The process of trying to win or do better than others. See, for me, that sport's no different than a game of basketball, baseball, maybe even a solid game of chess. I have spent 20 years of my life preparing to get into a ring, and I only compete against other men that have spent that long, sometimes longer, in the sport of mixed martial arts. We have referees, we have judges, we have medical personnel to take care of the safety of the competitors. Don't confuse violence and aggression. It's a very aggressive sport. Just understand that if you use my name and mixed martial arts in the same sentence, just understand one thing, students, educators. I hate fighting. I never solve my problems that way, and I never will. But that's not why I came here. I came here to talk about our character. I came here to talk about how we treat other people. And most important, they asked me to come here today and to talk to you about this thing called bullying. And whenever I get a whole bunch of young men, young women together in one room, I always bring with me what I call my 5 bully buttons. Now, someone in here can remember all 5 of these by the end of this presentation. Maybe someone will win like $1 million.
Mr. Madison, I know that you're in financial trouble. This box may be the answer to your problem. If you push this button, 2 things will happen. 1, someone somewhere in the world whom you don't know will die. And 2, you just push the button. You didn't let me finish. Someone somewhere in the world will die. Don't hit it again. That's the second no. Just let me finish. But you'll get $1 million. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Great. That's great. Yeah, you just need it 3 times. You kill 3 people. Wonderful. I have $5 million. It was supposed to be like a moral puzzle. So.
Students, educators, pay very close attention to my next words. They will be some of the most important I say in the next hour. This is perhaps the greatest moral puzzle humanity has ever faced. Teachers, we've never faced one like this before in human history. We have between 500,000 and 1 million students, teachers, their age, between 500,000 and 1 million, that attempt to end their own lives every single year in this country. There is no greater moral puzzle, students, teachers, that we have the responsibility to solve than this one. And I have the answer for you, students, in these 5 bully buttons, and I will give them to you. And by the end of this presentation, I make you all this promise right here, that every single one of you, from one side to the other, from the back row to the front, every one of you, will have a moment in your head where you say, aha, I know what I have to do. I know what my responsibility is. Every single one of you will have that moment in this room by the end of this presentation. I promise you that. 5 bully buttons. We got a long way to go. Let's get started. Button number 1. It's kind of long, it's kind of boring, but it's necessary. Educators, if you understand philosophy, you will know that they're the laws of logic. The first law of logic is the law of identity. You have to identify what you're talking about, students, before we can solve anything. That's why I call button number 1, perspective. Now, who knows what the word perspective means? What do you got? Someone's point of view. Excellent. So if I say the word dog, some of you think about a tiny little wiener dog, and some of you think about a great big dog, and most of us just think of an average-sized dog, because we all have our own unique perspective on just about anything. If you're new to the sport of education, teachers, let me give you a free lesson. It's always better to show kids and not tell them. I'll say it one more time. It's always better to show kids, young people, and not tell them. That means can I have a volunteer? Slim Pickens. All right, Slim. Come on. What's your name? Bruce, go up on that side of the stage. I'm going to give my man Bruce here a little lesson on perspective. Let's go, Bruce. Come here, Bruce. I'm about to give you a little lesson on perspective. Turn around. What, champion? All right. You ready for this, Bruce? Sure. Bruce, this is my perspective stick. In just a second, I'm going to hand it to you. You're going to put it on 2 fingers like this. And I'm going to play a little game with you. Now, if you play my game and win, I'll make you this promise in front of everybody. And this is not a joke. I've had 5 kids do this since I've been doing it, so it's no joke. I'm going to play a little game with you. If you play and win, I'll let you sit down with that. Now, are you cool, or would you rather pick someone else? I thought so. All right. So, Bruce, this ain't a joke. Like I said, I've given that away 5 times, differently. I'm going to hand you the perspective stick. You're going to put on 2 fingers like this. When I say go, all you simply have to do is let go. Now, you're only getting 1 try. How many tries, Bruce? 1. And all you have to do is balance the perspective stick for a whopping 10 seconds. Now, you can balance this on what try? For how many seconds? I'll give you that $100 bill. Now, Bruce, 2 things are going to happen here when you let go. Number 1, I'm going to count nice and slow. I'm just preparing your mind. You're in for a solid 11 or 12. All right? Because I'm going to count slow. All right? My point is, don't stop. If you get to like 8 or 9, I'm like, don't drop it. Just keep going. I will say 10, I promise. You cool? Now, here's the only rule. Nervous? Here's the only rule, Bruce. You see where your fingers meet that stick? You can't take your eyes off that spot. For $100, now I've seen it done 5 times, Bruce. If you take your eyes off that spot, I snatch the stick, game over, you do the walk of shame, don't worry. Cool? Alright, I'm going to watch your eyeballs, that's all I'm watching. If you flicker them, I'm grabbing the stick. Right. No, don't practice, bro! That's not what you're doing. You ready for this, Bruce? Alright, here we go. On your mark. I don't want any excuse, like your eye or something like that. Are you ready? Here we go. Turn this way so it doesn't go. Tail someone. On your mark, Bruce. Get set. Get set! Oh, we got a good mama. She thought you. Or a girlfriend, ready? Here we go. On your mark. I'm not playing this time, Bruce. On your mark. Watch your eyes. Get set. Go. 1, 2, 3. Down. 4. Over 50 schools this year, and I haven't seen a 5 yet. I bet on the stopwatch that was a solid 6. That was good, Bruce. Students, teachers, watch what happens now when Bruce simply changes his perspective. The way he's looking at the problem. Don't mind this. I really want to give it to you, I promise. I'm going to give it away 5 times. But Bruce, in less than a second, in the blink of an eye, watch what happens when you change your, when I say go this time, Bruce, instead of looking down here, look at the top of this thing. Set. Go. You'll find, students, that Bruce will be able to balance that stick all day long, only because he changed his perspective. All right. Students, educators. It's my job and my first body. It's kind of long, it's kind of boring, but it's necessary. I got to get everyone's perspective as close as possible before we begin on this. Educators, I promise you that there were a handful of kids last December that watched Caitlin Nicole Davis from Silver Creek, Georgia, probably within the walls of this institution, maybe in this very room. I guarantee you, teachers, in the shadows of the school, in your cafeteria, in your locker room, there were a few kids right here in this audience, I promise you, that watched Caitlin Nicole Davis from Silver Creek, Georgia, end her own life as she live streamed it for the world to see. She was 12 years old. There is no greater moral puzzle, students, that we have the responsibility to solve in this one. Educators, since 2007, suicides in 10 to 14-year-olds have doubled. Anyone in this room in your lifetime, the number one thing to take the life of a 10 to 14-year-old, that's some of the kids in this room, has always been car accidents. That just makes logical sense. Last year, for the first time in history, the number one thing to take the life of a 10 to 14-year-old teachers in this room are their own hands. The number one thing. In your high school students, it's up almost 70%. And people say to me all the time, why would a 12-year-old do this? And I tell teachers all the time, I say, if you took the time to watch 13 Reasons Why like they did, because they all did, or 85% of them did, and I don't really care if you agree with the show or not, educators, it doesn't matter to me at this point, that's irrelevant. I only watched it, I may not agree with it, but I watched it for one reason, because I know that they did. And if you took the time to watch it, you would see one word, the whole show can be summarized into one word. And people say, whoa, slow down, Tom, that was a fictitious Netflix show. And I say, yeah, but it's the same word, the same reason that 22 service members take their own life every day in this country. Same word. It's the same reason that Caitlin Nicole Davis, Olivia Scott, Amanda Todd, Ryan Halligan, Tina Meyer's daughter, the same word. She felt hopeless. She felt like she couldn't hold on. She felt like there were no possibilities that existed for her future, so she gave up. That's what Hannah did. That's what 22 service members do every day. They feel hopeless. They feel like they can't hold on. There's no possibilities that exist, so they give up. And people say, well, what leads to hopelessness, Tom? How can a child feel hopeless? Now, there's a common thread, educators, that weave between every human in this room. Y'all need three things to live: food, shelter, water. After that, students, let me tell you what every one of us have in common. This is what it means to be human. Every one of us need meaning or purpose in our life. The great philosopher, teacher, Friedrich Nietzsche, he said, he who has a why to live can bear any how. She felt like she had no reason, no why to live. That's how she felt. Meaning, purpose. The other thing that humans need, students, is acceptance. Human acceptance. Teachers, if you understand, they're just a bunch of pack animals. They become really easy to teach because they're pack animals. They care what their friends think. They care what other people are going to say. That's what they care about. I know what you care about. It's the most important thing in your life right now. She felt like nobody cared about her. And not just that, she felt like everybody else was out to get her, to hurt her. That's a tough thing, and that's why they asked me to come here today and to talk to you about this thing called bullying. Now, when I say the word bully, when your teachers say it, when your parents say it, for most of you, 90% of you, when you hear something like this flashes through your mind. You think about the big guy chasing the little guy home from school, pushing him up against the locker, stealing his lunch money. That's what most of you think about. Because most of you don't understand this thing. So let me get your perspective as close as possible. All of you, educators, this is as much for you as it is for them. On this thing called bullying. Because this is what Hollywood has done to us. But there's a few kids in here that truly understand what bullying is. Let me get you on their page. No better place to start than in the world of education. So if I went back to that dictionary again and opened it up to the word bully, here's what you'd see. It's a bus to cross over right person with bitch attention basketball many people. You got it? Yeah. All right, $100 word for word. What did I say? Okay. Four things in this definition, educators, and you got to know them all. Number one, and probably one of the three most important things, the behavior is habitual, which just means it happens over and over again. That's right. We say, teachers, that the mean switch goes on in about the 5th grade, then every day, every week, every month, year after year, young men, young women are programmed to believe the things that are said about them, to them, about their families, about their situations, over and over and over again. See, most of you have no idea what that really feels like. Somebody did something to you once, twice, 3 times. You didn't like the way it felt, but it hasn't become half a lifetime. There's a few of you in here that know exactly what I'm saying. The mean switch went on, teachers, in about the 5th grade, and you started getting treated a certain way. Over and over and over again. Now, what happens over and over again? This thing called intimidation. You know what intimidation means? Huh? I'm about to show you. All right? Pay close attention. I'm going to say it one time. I'm going to say it real quiet. I don't want you to miss it. All intimidation means, students, is that you're being mean or scared. Okay? Sure. I told you I was about to show you. You didn't. All intimidation means, students, teachers, is that you're being mean or scared. And most of you in this room have no idea what that's like. Teachers, do you realize that 170,000 students skip school every day in North America because they're afraid? That's the signature of bullying. Not 2 kids getting into a conflict, 1 kid not being able to argue as well as the other. It's fear, intimidation. You've got to pay attention when somebody is fearful. They can't learn when they're fearful. They can't do much when they're fearful. That's way down here in the brainstem, in the lizard brain. Fear, intimidation, habitually being scared. Here's the big one. The person that's getting bullied is smaller or weaker. Now, you're all old enough to know I'm not talking about how tall, how big their muscles are. I'm talking about the fact that your father is in prison. Bang. I'm talking about the fact that you're from a different country. I'm talking about the fact that you're brand new to this school, your hair is different, your skin is different. Educators, let me tell you what this means. Small or weaker. You ready for this, educators? It means anything, because that's how they feel. Now, my perspective changed on this probably about 4 or 5 years ago, teachers. I was in Kentucky. I had 1,000 kids in the audience. 1,000. And I was all done presenting. And I went backstage and had a little room. I was packing up all my stuff. And as I turned around, in the doorway was a woman. And as I looked at her, the tears just streamed down her face. And I just looked at her. And she said, Tom, I had to take my daughter out of the high school because she's so pretty. Huh? Inside, I felt like saying to her, lady, let me tell you about some kids that got some real problems. That's how I felt on the inside. That's what I wanted to say to her. And then, teachers, I took the time 2 years ago to watch 13 Reasons Why. And the rest of her statement finally made sense to me. She said, I had to take my daughter out of the high school. She's so pretty. The other girls are ruining her life because of all the attention that she gets. See, gentlemen, you'll never know what it feels like to be that girl. You know, the one that'll do anything with it. That makes you laugh, right? I'm not picking on him. It's just what happens. She'll do anything with anyone. She's that girl. You realize what that's like to have that switch turned on in middle school or high school, and your whole existence has been defined by that. That's kind of what happened to Hannah, right? Like, they got a picture of her, and she just, no. The point is, teachers, it doesn't matter what it is. Anything can make a kid feel like they're smaller or weaker. I didn't say they were actually smaller or weaker, but anything can make a kid feel that way. Habitually intimidating smaller or weaker people. And number 4, educators, this is solely for you. It happens on purpose. It's not an accident. You want me to tell you why these kids do, teachers? You want me to tell you why these kids do about 90% of everything they do? It's going to blow your mind. You won't believe me when I tell you this. They should have taught you this the first day of teaching school. You ever wonder why kids do everything they do? Let me tell you. Because they feel like it. That's it. That's the part of their brain that's fully functional, right? That's the part of their brain that's fully functional right now. They feel like doing something, so they do it. They talk out loud, they laugh out loud, they say something inappropriate, they just feel like doing it, so they do it. Well, you know what? That means my man here has got crap going on at home. He's got in a fight with his parents. He failed a test. His girlfriend dumped him, whatever. And he comes to school, somebody gets in his way, he shoves it. He says something inappropriate. It doesn't mean he bullied a single person. It means he was probably operating on his feelings. That's right. Just operating on his feelings. Did you say his phone? Oh, I thought you said on his phone. He's just operating on his feelings. There's a lot of things that kids do that are mean and hurtful, teachers, that are not bullying. That's an opportunity to take him through those feelings and to help him understand and to grow. It might turn into bullying, but it doesn't mean he was bullied just because he did something mean or hurtful. Bullying. Being mean or scaring someone over and over again that's smaller or weaker, and it happens on purpose. Let me ask you 2 questions as I finish up perspective here. Number 1, put your hand in the air, students, teachers, if you believe that kids that get bullied deserve it. Anybody in here believe, like, there's always one dude that's going to operate on his feelings? Did you, like, raise his hand for him? Like, some people like, oh. There's always 1 or 2 guys that are going to operate on their feelings. It's okay with you. That was me in high school, so it doesn't matter. Put your hand in the air seriously if you believe the kids who get bullied deserve to be bullied. So not too many hands up. Now watch this. Did you put your hand up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're in the 5th chair over all the way to the back, can you put your hand up in the air? Okay, you have a geometry problem. So do you. Now everybody on this side of the room, put your hand up. Now leave them up. Now when I say Simon says put your hand down, you can put your hand up. But no matter what else I say, don't put your hand up. You ready? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tom Murphy. I'm here to talk about bullying. How many of you here believe that kids that get bullied deserve it? What? Where's the principal for this school? This is outrageous. This is despicable. You're telling me over half of you, 60% of this room believe that kids that get bullied deserve it? This is outrageous. Simon says, put your hand. Educators. Understand this. 60% of the students in America, that means 60%, over half of the kids in this room, believe that kids that get bullied deserve it. Now, when I walk up to any one of them and say, hey, do you think kids that get bullied deserve it? She'll say no. Now, I'm not picking on her, but let me tell you what she just did, because all of you just did. You thought about the kids on either side of you, you thought about your best friend, your cousin, the average kid at school. Let me tell you who you didn't think about, students. A little boy, little girl, never met his father. Mom just lost her job. They got evicted from their apartment. They had to move to a trailer on a family member's piece of land. They don't have any running water yet. That's why he comes through with that kick in B.O. He stinks. That's kind of funny sometimes. Wears the same jeans to school every day. Everybody knows it. He's got a big stain on his pants. That's the kid I'm talking about. Not your best friend, not your cousin, not the average kid in school. I'm talking about the girl that comes to school, her hair's a wreck, her makeup's a wreck. Y'all didn't realize or know that her mom is a heroin addict. That since the 3rd grade, she's been waking herself up. She makes her own lunch, she makes her own breakfast, she puts herself on the school bus. That's the kid I'm talking about largely. Don't feel too bad, though, students. Half the teachers believe the same exact thing. If she wouldn't act that way, people would leave her alone. And newsflash, that's her life. You don't get it, neither do I. 60% of the students in this country believe the kids that get bullied deserve it. How often do bullies get away with it, students? What did you just say? What's your name? Are you delusional, Adam? Do you have a condition I need to know about? 97. Wait, you realize that in New York State it's against the law to bully? Like, against the law, it's illegal. You put posters on the wall that say no bully zone. 0 tolerance here. And you tell me 97% of the time they get away with it? Are you crazy? Teachers, this is fascinating to me. It blows my mind. You realize, teachers, if I give any 8th grader in North America a piece of paper, probably every kid in this room, a blank sheet of paper, and I say, hey, bro, could you write down on a piece of paper the name of someone who does not get treated the right way in your school or your community, someone that gets picked on, laughed at? Could you write their name down? It's anonymous. No one would know that you wrote it down. Could you identify a kid like that? Of course you could. Every single one of you could identify that kid. If you turn it over, could you write down the name of someone you might think is a bully? Woo, sure I could. Teachers, you can still remember the first name of the kid when you were in school who wasn't treated the right way. You haven't even forgot that person's name. Think about that one. That should blow your mind. That's why, just like Ayana said, in the best schools in this country, 96 to 97% of the time, that behavior's gotten away with. If somebody robbed a bank down the street and everybody knows who did it, would they get away with it? But this they do. What I would consider a matter of life and death for some kids. It should blow your mind, teachers. And everybody in here knows where it happens, when it happens, why it happens, and who it happens to, and it's gotten away with. 85% of all bullying, students, happens in front of other people. That's how I do that, because it just happens in front of other people. And that's the reason I'm here. Honestly, students, teachers, I did not come here for kids that get bullied. I did not come here for kids that are bullied. I got something for both of you. I promise you. But I came here for the rest of you. Because you're the solution. You're the key to solving this forever. In this school, in your community, and the world, the rest of it. And I will prove it to you. There's some perspective for you. Let's get started with that solution. And it must begin with button number 2. Our solution must begin with this thing called HOPE. H-O-P-E. Here's what it stands for, students, educators. It stands for Hold On, Possibilities Exist. H-O-P-E. We have a generation of young people that feel hopeless. They feel like they can't hold on. They feel like there's no possibilities that exist for their future. So they give up. When you feel hopeless, teachers, you don't want to feel any more. I go around the country, students, and I meet kids that feel hopeless. All over this country, from Hawaii to north of the border, Montreal, to Houston, Texas last year. All over the country, they're everywhere. As a matter of fact, probably 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago now, I was in Batavia, New York, just north of Rochester, or just to one side of Rochester, New York. And I was putting myself in this bag right here. It was very similar to this auditorium. I had 650 kids that just left the auditorium, all done presenting. And I was putting myself in this bag. It was up on a stage just like this. I had my back turned, and I felt a tap on my shoulder, and it startled me because I thought it was empty. And I turned around, and there in front of me was a 9th grade young lady, as old as a couple of you in here. And the first words out of her mouth, my grandma died in 2006. And I said the dumbest thing I've ever said to a young lady in my life. I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. My grandma died last year too. I know exactly how you feel. And as soon as I said that, my idiot light went off. Realized she's a 9th grade young lady. I could not possibly know how she feels. And I was going to say, I'm sorry. Next words out of her mouth before I could say anything. My mom died unexpectedly in 2008. Now, when you hear unexpectedly out of an 8th and 9th grader, you should pay attention. Because her mom wasn't supposed to die. I found out like a year later her mom was 30. I don't know why she died, how, I didn't ask. I was just like standing there in disbelief. The 2 statements out, my grandma died in 2006. I was like, my mom died unexpectedly in 2008. And as I'm like in disbelief, she says, they deported my father back to Portugal. He's never allowed back in this country again. And now I immediately look to the 2 doors and I'm like, oh. I'm like, I need a teacher. I have no idea what to tell this poor thing. But she wasn't done. She rips out one more arrow and she just lines it up with my heart. And she said, in 2011, my 15-year-old brother Logan was murdered. Shot to death in a trailer with another kid, and then the guy turned the gun on himself. And the last thing Alana said to me that day, she said, I can't wait to die so my whole family can be together. And then she goes to school, people make fun of her weight, they make fun of her clothes, they make fun of her trailer. They say, you should go kill yourself. Yeah, go kill yourself. Oh yeah, that makes kids smile today. That's what they say today, right? What reason does she have to hold on? What possibilities exist in her 9th grade little mind? Students, teachers? Not too many. I don't understand hopelessness at that level, students, teachers. I never want to. But I know someone that does. I know someone that understands hopelessness on another level.
I heard the boom, and as soon as I heard the boom, I was on fire. There's no time to react other than, the hatch above me was open. Thank God, because if it wasn't, I would have never found the lever to get out.
There we go. Morning. All right, so how you all doing? Good. So, as Tom said, I'm Rick, and I get to talk to you today about my favorite button. And that's button number 2, and hope. And some of the times in my life where I have lost hope, some of the times in my life where I've gotten that hope back, and then some of the very, very difficult times where I felt hopeless. But we will start on a much lighter note. I'll introduce you to my service dog, Amos. So I've had Amos now for about 6.5 years. He just turned 8 years old. He turned 8 on Christmas Day, the Christmas dog. He is, I've had him for 6.5 years. So the first 1.5 years of his life, he was actually trained in prison. He was trained by the inmates, right in the jail cell with the inmates. He was trained for troops that come home with post-traumatic stress, which I'm very lucky to tell you I did not have. So some of the things that Amos was trained to do for me is, if my hand's not working very well, if I drop something, I have a hard time picking things up. Amos can pick things up, and he can hand them to me. But he was also trained to do some pretty cool things that I will show you, and I really hope he will listen. Very good chance he won't. He doesn't listen well in schools. Just like you all, right? Amos, hey, look what I got. Amos. Right here, hey. It's all about the food. Amos, here. Heel. No. Amos, hey. Oh my gosh. You're worthless. Hey. Hopefully your teachers don't call you that. I have to restart with the retreat. Hey, here it is. There we go. Hey, Amos. Tom, what did you do to my dog? Amos, heel. These treats were a terrible idea. Amos, heel. Do you want this? Heel. Perfect. That was a perfect heel, buddy. Here. Look at that. Heel. Amos, you sit, please. Oh, good. Sit. Yeah, that's all. Amos, I have a question for you. Who's your dad? Hey, who's your dad? Who? Who is? Who? Oh, okay. Amos, can you salute? Good salute. And like I said, Amos was trained in prison, so Amos, hands up. And at the end of a terrible presentation, usually somebody takes a bow, Amos bow. Bow. Good. Down. Good-ish. And how can you be mad at him? He's super cute. So that's Amos, and Amos is obviously an awesome dog, and sometimes a huge pain in the butt. But now it's my turn. And unfortunately for you, I don't do any cool tricks. And unless you offer me food. I don't know what else. There's some really cool things I might do if you offer me. He's looking for crumbs. So like I said, I get to talk to you today about hope and hopelessness. And really for me, that story begins on September 1st, 2006. When I was in Iraq, and I was in the Army, and I was on a patrol on a dirt road that I had been on many times before, in a vehicle called a Bradley. Anyone in here know what a Bradley is? There's a few of you who do. Well, for those of you that don't, now you do. This is a Rick, but this is a Bradley. Thanks, Tom. That's a Bradley. It's basically just a small tank. Well, that day that we were on that patrol, somebody had buried an IED underneath the road. IED is an improvised explosive device, and it's basically just a homemade bomb. Well, my Bradley ran over that bomb. It detonated, it exploded, it went to the bottom of my vehicle, up into the turret where I was sitting, and also in the turret is where we have our fuel tank. And it hit our fuel tank. And this is an actual picture of my Bradley after it had burned for many hours. And you can see from the picture before, where that guy is standing on top of the Bradley, that's the turret of the Bradley, the part of the Bradley that I was in. And you can see in the next picture that the turret's gone. It had basically melted into the vehicle. So as soon as the Bradley was on fire, I was on fire. And I knew the first thing I had to do was I had to get out. I had to escape. And thankfully that day, when I climbed in, and when we climbed into the Bradley, we climbed all the way to the top of the turret, and there's a hatch that we climbed through. When I climbed in that day, I didn't close the hatch cover behind me. Every other day that I climbed into that vehicle, I closed it, because we were supposed to keep it closed. In case we ever got hit with any kind of chemical, that way no chemical could get into the vehicle. It was basically buttoned up. That day I didn't close it, thankfully. And I say thankfully because I would have had to find a little tiny lever above my head to hit, to open up that hatch. And then I would have had to push that hatch cover open. And with the chaos of everything that was going on with the smoke and the fire, I don't think that ever would have happened. I don't think I would have been able to get out of that vehicle. Like I said, thankfully I didn't have to worry about that. I was able to just climb to the top. And when I got to the top, then I knew I had to get to the ground. Pretty simple, but there was two big problems. The first problem was the fact that it's a long ways down. It's about 10 feet from the very top of the turret to the ground. So just imagine standing on a basketball rim. So if you're 5 feet tall, that's 15 feet to the ground, from your eyes to the ground. Imagine standing on that basketball rim, and now imagine closing your eyes and jump. I say imagine closing your eyes because I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see anything because my face was on fire, and the fire was actually covering my eyes. So I knew I just had to jump, take a leap of faith, and hope that I would make it to the ground. Well, I did take that leap of faith. I did make it to the ground. But when I landed on the ground, I couldn't brace myself for the landing because I couldn't see the ground. So when I hit, I broke my leg. And that's how I ended up with this wicked, awesome robot leg. Check it out. You want one, you can get one on Amazon.com. I'm not lying to you, there's one on Amazon. But when I hit that ground, I was still on fire. What were we all taught to do if we ever caught on fire? Stop, drop, and roll. Right, that's what I did. I rolled around on the ground. And I couldn't put the fire out. All I was doing was setting the ground on fire. I could not put the fire out. I had too much fuel on my body. So once I realized that that wasn't working, I didn't know what else to do. Like nobody ever said, hey, stop, drop, and roll doesn't work, try this. I couldn't get up and run because my leg was broken. I couldn't see anything because my face was on fire. Now what? Unfortunately, that's when I laid on my back and I stared up into the sky and I gave up. I gave up that all-important thing, the thing that keeps all of us going every single day, that thing called hope. Now Tom said what hope stood for. Hold on, possibilities exist. In that moment of hopelessness for me, I was giving up on all the possibilities that existed for my future. Now I had no idea what those possibilities were. Like, was I going to be a doctor someday? Would I play football again someday? Would I be presenting to students someday? Well, in the end, it didn't matter. It didn't matter what those possibilities were because I was giving up on every single one of them. Now there are times in all of our lives where we feel like maybe we can't hold on. The possibilities that exist for our future, they don't matter. Well, first of all, they do matter. We have to hold on to find them out. And I'm not only talking about life or death. In my situation, I'm talking life or death. I'm talking much more than that. I'm talking about just difficult things that we deal with in life. Whether it's in this building, or at home, or in your community. Things that are hard. And you're saying, you know what? I can't go on because this is just too difficult. Well, if you give up on those things, you'll never find out what the possibilities that existed for you are through that situation. Sometimes those hard things that we have to deal with in life, when we fight through them and we get through them, it's the biggest possibilities that exist for us. Thankfully for me that day, I only gave up hope for a second. Because I ended up rolling in one direction. I had no idea which direction I was rolling in. Like I could have been rolling back to that burning vehicle. But I wasn't, thankfully. I was rolling away from it. And I rolled into a canal that was there. A canal that I had no idea was there. And it had just enough water in it to extinguish the flames. Eventually a couple of my friends found me in the canal. One of them came down and grabbed my legs. The other one came down and grabbed under my arms. And they both carried me up to the top of the canal where the helicopters would eventually pick us up. But when I got to the top of the canal, that's when it all started to sink in. When it all started to set in. How bad things truly were. I knew how bad they were because my hands, I could see them, and they were hanging off of my fingertips. The skin on my hands was hanging off my fingertips. And I could also see my face. Unfortunately, I didn't need a mirror to do that because it was hanging from my chin. I knew that in that moment, if I lived, my life was never going to be the same. Everything after that moment was going to be different. Everything. Now, a buddy of mine who had pulled me out of that canal, he was standing over me, and he was helping me deal with this really difficult thing that I was dealing with. And I asked him a really dumb question. I said, how bad is it? I knew how bad it was. But as a good friend would do in that kind of situation, he lied to me. He said, it's not that bad. And I looked back at him, and I said, well, I'll never be as ugly as you are. Little humor in that situation. All of the guys in my platoon, they all knew that I had a really good sense of humor. And seeing that my sense of humor was still there, even though I was dealing with something very difficult, maybe it gave them a little hope. The hope that, you know what, maybe Rick's going to make it through this after all. Eventually the helicopters got there, took myself and my two buddies who were in the vehicle with me away to the hospital. And unfortunately, that helicopter ride was the last time I ever saw or talked to my really good buddy, Sergeant Luis Montez, ever again. Sergeant Montez was the soldier who was sitting directly next to me. And he ended up passing away 7 days later from the burns that he received the day that we were injured together. So obviously in that story there's some hopelessness. But there's also some hope. The hope that I got back that day that I was on the ground and on fire, I got that hope back on my own. There was nobody else around me physically to help me into that canal. But since that day, there's been many times in my life where I couldn't get hope back on my own. Where I had to rely on other people in my life to give me hope. Now I ended up in the hospital for 6 months. For half of the year, I lived in a hospital room. Lost hope many times. Even after I got out of the hospital. When people would think, well, Rick's obviously doing better now because he's out of the hospital. I wasn't doing better. Physically, I was doing better. But mentally, I was not. Mentally, might have been doing worse. Because now all of a sudden I had to go out in public for the first time. People who have never seen anything like me before had to see me. And that was really difficult for me. Because every single person I passed by would stare at me. Now, I understand staring. I do. It's just your mind trying to figure out something they've never seen before. I get it. So that wasn't the true problem. The true problem was with young children. 5, 6-year-old little kids who were also staring at me. But they were also terrified. Absolutely terrified. As soon as they saw me in my wheelchair, they would hide behind their parents. Or they would run away. To the point where I was like, you know what, Rick, you're a monster. Kids are afraid of you. No matter what you do, kids are afraid of you. No matter what you do, kids will always be afraid of you. That's truly what I believe. I needed someone in my life to come into my life and give me hope. Because I was hopeless in that situation. I couldn't figure out how to get hope back on my own. I needed somebody else to give it to. Now one day I'm in a restaurant, I'm sitting there with my brother, and there's a family at a table across from us, and there's a little girl at that table, about 6 years old, and she's staring at me, like every kid. And you can tell that she's afraid of me, like most kids were. She's sitting right next to her grandfather. Her grandfather sees that she's staring at me. So he quietly says to her, go say hi. So he wanted his granddaughter to come over to me and say hello. You know, he wanted to put her in a really uncomfortable situation. She didn't do that. She didn't want to come over. She was afraid. So she didn't. Well, he said it again. Go say hi to me. This time she started to make her way over. Now, I didn't want her to have to come all the way over to my table, because I knew how uncomfortable she was already. So when she got about halfway over to my table, as nicely as I could say to her, I said, hey, how you doing? But as soon as I said that, as soon as that first word came out of my mouth, she stopped, dead in her tracks, like she saw a ghost. And she turned around, and she ran back to her grandpa as fast as she could. I'm like, you know what, Rick? Just get used to it. Just deal with it. Just figure it out. Even though I had no idea how to do any of those things, or I wouldn't have been in that situation that I was in. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to figure it out. I was hopeless. Who's going to pull me out of this hopelessness? In my mind, there was nobody that could. I knew I couldn't. That little girl, she got back to her grandpa and she looked at him and she said, "Grandpa, he's really nice. He's really nice." That's not at all what I thought she was going to say. I thought for sure she was running away from me because she was terrified of me. And I thought she was going to get back to her grandpa and say, "Grandpa, he's really scary." Just like most kids would have. But nope, in a moment of hopelessness for me, that little girl came over to me and she dumped a bucket of hope on me. And when she did that, she changed my life forever. And that is an absolute guarantee. She changed my life forever. Again, she was 5 or 6 years old. She had no idea that she had hope inside of her that she could give to somebody else. She had no clue. And she also had no idea that I needed hope. But you do. You do know those people that need hope. She was 5 or 6. Imagine what you could be capable of at your age and with your knowledge. Because again, you do know those people who need hope. Those people who are dealing with some really difficult things in their lives. You see them every day in the hallway. And what are you doing for them? Not a whole lot. Sometimes nothing. Now, I only accuse you because I can accuse myself as well. Because when I was what we would have considered the normal kid in school, when I was captain of my football team, and I was captain of my wrestling team, and I was walking through the hallways every day, and I was passing by those kids who were dealing with tough stuff in their life, or maybe even feeling hopeless, and I was doing nothing for them. Why was I doing nothing for them? Nobody ever told me that I had something inside of me that I could give to other people, that thing called hope. And that's why I'm here today. I'm here today to tell you all that you have that hope inside of you, that you can give to other people. And when you choose to give that hope to somebody else, you could change that person's life forever. You could change that person's life forever. There's not a whole lot bigger in this world than that. Now we need to change the environment that we're in by creating an environment of hope. So when that kid who does feel hopeless, when they walk through those doors in the morning, and they're walking through the hallways, they know they're not going to feel hopeless for long. Because now they know that every single person they pass by that day, all of you, have something inside of them, that thing called hope. And you recognize that you have that hope inside of you, and eventually one of you is going to give it to that person. That person knows that. You've got to give it to them. You've got to make that choice. Because when you give it to them, you can change that person's life forever. Now, who are these people that carry hope? Like, who was that little girl in my life? Takes us to our third button. Button number 3 is sweethearts. Sweethearts are the carriers of hope. They're the people in our lives who give us hope when we absolutely need it the most. Now, how did we come up with that name, sweethearts? Did we take a bunch of cool names, some nice names to call people, and drop them in a hat and pick one out, and sweethearts was the winner? It's not how it worked. I have to take you back, because this is a little bit of a history lesson, to the 16th century. In the 16th century, there was a word that was invented. And the word that was invented was the word bully. You know, bully. The same bully that Tom talked about earlier. Somebody who intentionally intimidated somebody who was seen as smaller or weaker than them over and over again. That bully. But when that word was invented, it didn't mean that at all. It almost meant the exact opposite. The word bully actually meant sweetheart. Let that sink in for a second. The word bully actually meant sweetheart. The word bully was an endearing term. It was somebody in your life who pushed you over and over and over again. Okay, well that sounds like a common day bully. But they pushed you over and over and over again to make you better. Like, they knew what you were capable of. They knew what your potential was. Sounds like a teacher. Sometimes. They know what you're capable of. They know what your potential is. And they push you to reach that potential. Like a 16th century bully would do. These people who push us to get us to where we want to be in life. I wouldn't be standing up here right now if it wasn't for dozens, hundreds of sweethearts in my life. Hundreds of these 16th century bullies And later today, when you get the opportunity, ask your teachers, who were their 16th century bullies? Who were their sweethearts? Who were the people in their lives that they wouldn't be doing what they're doing today if it wasn't for them? Because I guarantee you, every single one of them in here has at least one, probably a lot more than that. Because we don't get to where we want to be in life without other people. We cannot do it on our own. We need other people in our lives. We need these sweethearts in our life. I told you about one of mine, a little girl, changed my life forever. And it can be much bigger than that. Now, when I was in the hospital, month 4, I had not seen my face at that point. 4 months into my hospital stay, I had not seen my face. Now, that was intentional. My doctors, my parents did not want me to see my face. They didn't know if I was ready to see my face. They went as far as covering the only mirror in my room with old pictures of me and my friends and my family. So that way, when I was wheeled by in my wheelchair, I wasn't able to see myself. Well, one day the doctors wanted me to just get out of my room because I was basically in that room 24/7. So I get into my wheelchair and they wheel me by that mirror that I can't see myself in. They wheel me out into the hallway and I'm being pushed around by my nurse. And I pass by this Marine who's also in a wheelchair being pushed by his nurse. And when I saw him, I couldn't believe how bad he looked. He was injured in Afghanistan and he was burned. I couldn't believe how bad he looked. And I couldn't believe even how scary he looked. And in my mind, I was saying to myself, man, I am lucky I don't look that bad. Now, I had no idea how bad I looked. But there was no way I could look as bad as this guy. He has to be the only person in this world to have ever survived something so horrific. Man, I'm so lucky. After about an hour in the hallway, I went back to my room. Now, when I was in Iraq, I took a ton of pictures on a digital camera, transferred all those pictures over to my laptop. And then when I was injured, all of my belongings, including that laptop, were sent home to my parents. So about a week after that incident in the hallway, I'm laying in my hospital bed, and I asked my mom if she could bring me my laptop. I wanted to look at the pictures that I had taken. Reminisce. Before all of this happened, the good old days. So she did. She brought me my laptop. And she set the laptop on my lap, and she opened up the cover, and for the first time in 4 months, I saw it. I saw my face. On accident. Nobody wanted me to see my face up to that point. Except they didn't think I was ready. They were right. I was not ready to see myself. As soon as I saw my face, I was hopeless. Because I'm thinking, for 4 months, all I've been doing is working my butt off to try to get out of the hospital. That was my whole goal. And then I saw my face and I'm like, what was the point? What's the point in getting out of the hospital? Nobody's ever seen anybody that looked like me before. I had never seen anybody that looked like me before. Except for a week earlier. When I was in the hallway and I saw that Marine. The Marine that I was saying, man, I'm lucky I don't look that bad. And I look just as bad as he did. I'll tell you, I was hopeless. I was so hopeless, I told my own mother. My own loving mother, right to her face. When I saw myself, I said, leave me alone. I don't care if I live. I don't care if I die. Do not give me any more medication. I don't know how much more hopeless you can get, but I was there. Hopeless. And the face you see in that screen, that's not the face that I saw that day. I took that picture about 2 years ago. This is the face that I saw that day in that screen. That's me at about 4 months into my hospital stay. That's what I look like. That's the face that led me to hopelessness. That's the face that kids saw as a monster. That's the face that I saw as a monster. Who in this world is strong enough to pull me out of that? No one. I knew I couldn't pull myself out, that's for sure. I've never dealt with anything like this in my life. I was as hopeless as I was the day in Iraq on fire. Who's going to pull me through this? No one. Well, the hospital didn't feel that way. They felt like they had to do something about it. They just couldn't leave it at that. Rick's hopeless, let's leave him alone. They knew they had to do something. So they brought in the professionals. They brought in my psychologist. My psychologist sat down across from me, and he started talking to me just like a psychologist would do. For about an hour, he talked to me. And during that hour, I just kept telling him to leave me alone, get out of here. You cannot help me. You have no idea what I'm dealing with. Get out of here. After about an hour, he realized that wasn't working. What he was doing was not working. So he decided to change the subject entirely. He started talking to me about dead spiders at that point. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? Like, I'm already freaking out. He wants to talk about dead spiders. Like, that's supposed to help me. Thankfully, that conversation only lasted for about 5 minutes. He stands up and he leaves. And at that point, I'm just glad he's gone. I didn't want him there anyways. He gave up on me. That's what I thought it was. He was only gone for about a minute. He comes back into the room, and this time he's carrying a big glass jar full of dead spiders. Yeah, this is a doctor. This is supposed to be a really smart man. He went to college for a long time to learn his trade. And he brings in dead spiders into the room of a man who was freaking out already. What the heck? At that point, I thought I was crazy. I mean, I felt so crazy that I was ready to give up and die. That's how crazy I felt. And when he walked into that room, I realized, you know what, Rick, you're not crazy. He is. He's crazy. He needs to sit down with a psychologist, and that psychologist needs to help him. You're good. Now, honestly, I had no clue what he was doing in that moment. No idea. It took me years to figure it out. All he was doing was he was taking my mind so far away from the problem that I was dealing with that I forgot an hour earlier I told my own mother that I didn't care if I lived or died. He did that. He pulled me out of that hopelessness that I was in. He pushed me, and it didn't work. And he pushed me again, and it didn't work. And that third time he pushed me, it did work. Sweethearts don't give up when something doesn't work the first time. He knew he could pull me out of that. He knew the potential that I had. And he was able to pull me out of that hopelessness. Now, you're thinking, well, I'm not a doctor. I didn't go to college for 8 to 10 years. I can't do that same thing. I'll tell you right now, that doctor saved my life. Saved my life. I wouldn't be standing on the stage if it wasn't for him. I had given up. But all he did was give me something that a 5-year-old little girl gave me. Hope. I don't care about the training he had. He went outside the box. And he gave me hope when I truly needed it. And when he did, he saved my life. That little girl changed my life forever. That doctor absolutely saved my life. With the same kind of hope that you have inside of you. Every one of you has that hope. And today, truly, it'll be a choice that you'll have to make to give it to somebody else. You'll have to give that hope to somebody else to make a difference. You'll have to give that hope to somebody else to become a sweetheart. And I ask you to do that. I ask you to give that hope to somebody who needs it. Not just your best friend, but that person in the hallway who doesn't have anyone. That person in your community who doesn't have anyone. Give them something that now you know you have inside of you. And when you do it, you can change their life forever, or even possibly save them. So again, today, please choose to give hope. Choose to become a sweetheart, because you need to know the biggest thing in the world that you're capable of. And that's changing and saving lives. So today, make that choice. Give hope, become a sweetheart, change, and save lives. Thank you all very much.
Teachers, I used to look at that guy as an American hero for what he did for our country, but I'll be quite honest with all of you. I never look at Rick as an American hero for that anymore. I look at Rick as an American hero because he's given more hope to more kids than anyone else I've ever met. There's kids all over the country that look at that man and say, that's how I feel on the inside. How could anyone love me? And Rick has the power to say, yeah, but I'm happier than I've ever been in my entire life, and I wouldn't change this for anything. I remember the first time he told me that, and I thought in my head, I thought, man, This guy got way too blown up. Like, I would never say that. If I could get my ears back, my nose, my leg, my hands, of course I would. And Rick told me, no, I wouldn't. What? It didn't make sense to my brain. But I get it now. I get it now because there's kids that get this hope from him. And this notion of hope, students, it's not just a bunch of hocus pocus. It's not just a bunch of one acts of kindness. It might be. It's actually, now follow me here, it's actually very, very scientific. Let me give you the science of hope. Educators, let me take you back to the 1950s, 1952. Let me take you back to Harvard graduate, the great Kurt Richter. He does this set of experiments. It'll blow your mind. He takes these big high-sided buckets, he fills them up halfway with water. He puts a hose in there so the water circulates around. He takes these rats that were born in the lab and drops them in the water. Now have no fear, rats can naturally swim. And they start to swim around that bucket. And Richter takes a stopwatch and he starts. He finds in about 12 minutes these little guys start to struggle. The little heads go under and they pop up, and they go under and they pop up. And right about the 15-minute mark, they start sinking to the bottom of the bucket. And Richter and his team allow them to drown to death. And then he takes a second set of rats. He takes the same bucket, the same water, the same hose. And he takes a second set of rats, drops them in, starts the watch. 12 minutes later, they start to struggle. Right about the 15-minute mark, these ones start sinking to the bottom as well. But this time, Richter plunges his arms into the water, and he reaches to the bottom, and he grabs the little guys. And he pulls them out, he dries them off, and he lets them rest. Just for a few moments. And he picks them back up, drops them back in the bucket. He starts the watch. He finds about 12 minutes, still swimming around the bucket. 15-minute mark, still swimming around the bucket. 30 minutes later, still swimming in the bucket. 1 hour later, still swimming in the bucket. 2 hours later, still swimming in the bucket. 3 days later, 60 hours they swam. Nobody could explain it. Look it up, teachers, it'll blow your mind. 60 hours they swam. Nobody could explain it. But Richter did. Are you ready for this? Richter believed that they were holding on to the possibility that someone was going to save them again. See, in their tiny little rat brains, they knew what hope felt like. They had felt it once before. Oh, it's coming. Where is it? They were waiting for it. Let me tell you what that is, students, teachers. That's a 5-year-old little girl, a 25-year-old man that's hopeless. And she walks over to him. She doesn't know she has it inside of her. She dumps a big bucket of hope on him. And then she picks him up and she dries him off and she lets him rest from that hopelessness just for a few moments. She probably saved his life. Y'all got that same hope inside of you that you could give to other people. That's the magic of Rick Yards. That's what he's here to teach us. You all can become one of these 16th century bullies and help those people that need it the most. But he's right, it's a choice that you'll make, or you won't. They changed the world. Ask any one of your teachers about their 16th century bully, and this guy on the wall, he'll tell you the person that changed his world. He wouldn't be there right now without that person. Ask your teachers about that person later. 3 buttons down. Perspective, hope. Sweethearts are the carriers of hope. Brings me to a very serious question. 3 frogs on a log, one decides to jump in. How many are left? Now pay close attention. They told me this was a smart school. I said 3 frogs on a log, one decides to jump in. How many are left? 3. Why? He just decided. You all decided to clean your rooms last week. They're still dirty. You can decide to do whatever you want. Pay close attention, students, teachers. Action changes everything. Nothing changes in this school. Nothing changes in your community. Nothing. Unless you actually jump into... It's that idiom, teachers, that they already know. Just to jump into action. Nothing will change here. Nothing will change in this community. Nothing will change in this world unless you actually jump into action. Now, do y'all have a basketball team here? You have somebody that can jump like crazy, sick high? I just need somebody that can get up. Like, you can't play. I mean, you gotta be able to get rimmed. Can you get rimmed? Yes. Hey, come here. I like that. I'm about to give you a little lesson on jumping into action, all right? I think it will. So this is my magic, sweetheart, fairy dust. Want to smell it? Bro, that's a terrible idea. You know what your mom would say right now? Man, don't smell stuff, you don't know what it is. Dave, I'm going to, just a second, let you put 2 fingers in here, all right? I'm going to let you take a few steps. I'm going to count to 3. You're going to run, you're going to jump, and you're going to show me how high you can get. Now, I'm going to make you look silly afterwards. All right? You might want to stretch. I don't think I can. Check. I don't know if this works. Anyway, who cares? Okay, so I'm going to put this, it's not really fairy dust, it's just chalk. It's to mark the wall. I did this once the other day, a kid put his fingers in there, and he jumped with the other hand. What are you doing, Mom? This is to mark the wall, it's not fairy dust, all right? So if you want to stretch some more, because I don't want to make you look too silly, I'm going to have you run, jump, right? If you got boots on, I got these on, so it's about even. All right? So, you ready? All right, cool. You want to stretch some more? All right. Bro, you do whatever you want. I'm going to make you look silly. Now, you got enough? I want to be able, they got to be able to see it. All right, okay. Now, here's the only thing, man. You got to promise me you're going to give me everything you got. Promise me you ain't got to come down and be like, oh, I could have done that. When I make you look silly, I don't want no excuses. Ready? All right. Everything you got. On the count of 3. 1, 2, everything. Don't try and grab it and run because I'm fast. So I'm going to set this here. Now, Gabe, if you get like a 7 meter higher, you could have that and go back in your seat. But you can't because you already did your best. For real without it. Now listen, here's what I've learned, students. Here's what I've learned, teachers. Gabe will never get hired. You got to create an environment of hope for him. So check this out. But because of those who choose to do nothing about it. See, teachers, we got it wrong. We thought that the bullies, the bad people, were the problem in this world. They're not even the problem. See, if Einstein were here with me today, students, he would look out over the sea of faces, and he would say, you know who the problem is? It's you, and you, and you. All of you that can write the name down on a piece of paper of someone who isn't treated the right way, you're the problem. Now that's a hard one to accept, but you're the problem. Now we know, educators, there's two reasons kids don't jump into action, largely. Number one, you're going to feel silly or ridiculous. I told you, vulnerability. You didn't realize that's why superheroes wear tights, did you? You never thought about that. Like, why does he got to put tights on and run into public? Because he's got to look like an idiot. She's going to look silly helping people that can't help themselves. It's hard to be a superhero. Let me be honest with you, educators. Let me tell you why they don't jump into action, the real reason. Now, I don't want to offend anybody, but it's just the truth. We never taught them what to do. I tell my kids to stick up for those kids that are different all the time. They have no idea what that means. Stick up for that kid that's different. What does that mean? I'll prove it to you, educators. Students, all at once, as loud as you can. What do you do when you catch on fire? Stop! Now, my friends, honestly, before today, have you ever met a single human alive that's ever used it? Isn't that the craziest thing, teachers? Isn't that the craziest thing? That we have taught 50 million students what to do when they never catch on fire. Isn't that the craziest thing? I walk up to any kid in America and I say, hey, what do you do when you see someone not being treated the right way? What do you do? And they're like, oh, tell the teacher. What you're not going to do, that's not proper pack behavior. They have no idea what to do. In less than 2 minutes, educators, I will give them the stop, drop, and roll of bullying. They'll never forget it. You know why stop, drop, and roll works, teachers? Because it's simple. Because it's action-based. The great educator Herbert Spencer said the aim of education is never knowledge, it's action. It's simple, it's action-based, and it's life-saving. We have a generation of young people that are on fire a different way. Socially, psychologically, emotionally. Nobody knows how to put them out. I'm a teacher. Where did I get it from? Well, duh. I've been to superhero school. And at superhero school, they teach you a couple things. Students, educators, I already told you the first one. It's that idiom that they already know. Jumping into action. When I got to superhero school, I was like, well, I can't do any real superpowers. And they said, don't worry about it. It's as simple as the ABCs. You know the ABCs? Perfect, you'll get these. It's as simple as the ABCs. Now they told me, they said the next time you see someone not being treated the right way, students, right? Like in the locker room, they're making fun of this kid. For me, his name was Brian Winstad when I was in school. People made fun of him, he was different. And he didn't change in gym class if he even went. But they told me, the next time you come into gym, into phys ed, and Brian's there, people making fun of him, they said, you don't have to talk to the kids that are being mean. The bullies, the weird, the kids that are being aggressive toward Brian. They said, all you have to do is fly in there. They said, don't talk to those bullies. They said, just fly in there and be like, yo, Brian, man, my locker's stuck. Can you help me? And they said, just fly in there and take Brian. What? Away! You know how they do that, teachers? They've been watching superhero movies. It's the first thing every superhero does, right? I call it the starter pack of superpowers. They all get this one when they go to superhero school, like Wonder Woman, any of them. Somebody's in danger, they fly in and take the person away. Now, why can't you do that? The next time you see someone not being treated the right way, you could just be like, hey, could you show me the picture with you? Hey, I gotta put these balls out on the field. Coach asked me to. Could you help me? Just take them away. I dare you. It's a superpower. Here's the toughest superpower of all. You ready? Become Brian's buddy. Just become his buddy. Now, can you all imagine if somebody was falling from a building and Superman was like, oh, shoot, I gotta go. And Superman like gets right in this dude's face, right? As he's falling from the building. Can you all imagine Superman doing this? I'm gonna let this one hit. Oh my God, she said. Superman treats everybody like it's his buddy. You think Superman cares who his dad is, who his mom is, what he smells like? You never saw Superman like, woo, this one's awful. Of course not. Now, I didn't say make Brian your best friend. Just treat him like one of your buddies. Now, you'd ask your buddies if it was like warm out and be like, hey, you want to go throw the football? Why won't you do that with Brian? You want me to tell you? Because you're not a superhero. Yeah. Now, you could be. You know Brian can't catch no football, let alone throw it. Who cares? Just treat him like one of your buddies. I dare you. That's the hardest superpower of them all. Because people are going to laugh at you. Or you feel like they're going to laugh at you. A is take the person away. B is become their dare you. Here's the last one. I'll end with something real fun. C. Sometimes you got to confront the situation. Sometimes you got to say stop. Sometimes you got to get between people. That's a hard thing to do. Doesn't always work, I'll be honest with you. So sometimes you do have to another superhero for help. Y'all see that Superman movie where he needed Batman at the end? Even superheroes need help sometimes. Sometimes you seniors out there, wherever you're at, just don't forget these words, you seniors. The four most deadly words to humanity. I'll do it myself. Deadly. Sometimes you gotta call another superhero for help. You can try and confront it and say stop. But sometimes you gotta call another superhero. There's one last piece of this puzzle. It's that idiom, teachers, that they already know, jumping into action. Let me tell you what it means. We say peers here will only jump into action less than 10% of the time. Most studies say these students jump into action about 4% of the time, which means they don't. Like when you see someone not being treated the right way, about 4% of the time will you actually do something. This magic window, it lasts 10 seconds. How many? I call it the moment. You've got to own that moment. We know scientifically that if you see someone not being treated the right way, and within the first 10 seconds, you jump into action, use one of these superpowers, maybe one of your own superpowers that you already have. We know that all of you could be successful over 60% of the time by owning that moment. And you could become someone's hero. Need to volunteers. All right, one, you, young lady up there, need to do. All right, come on. That's good. You're good. We'll make this. I'm playing. Come on. Now, teachers. You've been doing fire drills with kids their whole lives, right? You ever use one for real? Probably not, most of you. Better chance using a fire drill. I mean, it does happen, but you got a better chance using a fire drill than stop, drop, and roll, actually. Hey, man. Typically, we introduce ourselves. You are. Ben. You already know my name. Tyler. All right, cool. Now, look. I'm going to do something with you you've never done before. They should have been doing it when you were this big. I said there's two reasons that kids don't jump into action. Number one, I said because they feel scared or silly or ridiculous, right? So let's, you know what this is? A what? A what? Perfect. I've never worn one. Okay, now, teachers, we're going to do your first ever bully drill. Imagine if we raised a generation of young people that practiced things they were going to face, things that you faced, and you had no idea what to do. Now, they know what to do. They're going to look silly, a little ridiculous. I used to just do this with little kids, but high schoolers love it too. Who wants to go? I need one more volunteer. All right, because they're pointing. Because I'm way over time. Yeah. Actually, what's your name? I don't care. Devin? Get over there now. I'm working on my game, all right? All right, now look. So look, you're gonna go first? Sure. All right, now. I'm gonna go over Devin, right? I'm gonna bully him the wrong way. All right? Don't worry, bro. When you get knocked out, you don't even feel it. All right? Here's the only rule in this bully drill. You're not allowed to say anything. All right? You just gotta show them you're sad. Happy? Sad. Happy? Now, you're gonna jump into action. I'm gonna bully him. Give me just a few seconds, but you gotta do it within how many seconds? 10. And you can use the ABCs. A, take him away. B, you can become his buddy. No kissing up here. You can do what you do, man. All right, whatever, bro. Or C, you can confront me. Just don't touch me, because it won't end nicely for either of us. You'll go out like this, and I'll go out like this. So, don't touch me. But you get little. But you can confront me if you want. If it doesn't work, you might have to call another super. If you got your own superpower, like you're very distracting or you ask too many questions, you could use that one. If you have your own superpower, none of that laser vision stuff, though. I don't want you to go. All right, so. It's my bully hat. I'm going to bully this guy the wrong way. Now, did y'all see the Incredibles? Yes. That's my jam right there. So, I love the movie, but I was super disappointed. Because in the original, remember when he landed on the island? I waited for the whole movie to say one word in the new one. Remember when he landed on the island to fight the big robot in the first one? You remember what he said? Showtime. No, bro, what did I tell you about wearing that stupid shirt? I said the next time you did, I was going to rip it off. Yo. What are you doing, bro? Bro, make like a tree and get out of here. I don't really care what you need. What you need to do is get out of here. Whoa. Dude, hey.
Just keep it up the home.
Hey!
It's all right.
It's not all right, bro. What, are you going to beat up with your homework? Uncomfortability. That's a hard thing to do, especially when I came after him and I didn't stop. That's hard to do. But I did. Teachers, I call rewinding the tape. If you really watch what happened, I watched hundreds of these. I did like how he came in nice and gently. You know, sometimes kids get up here and they like to clown, but he came in. I love the way he used his name, Devin. He didn't just say, I could just drag people away. I loved how he put his arm on him and kind of patted him and steered him away, and then he put himself between me and Devin. That was pretty high level. So his subconscious mind actually took over and did a good job. Give him a big hand. All right, well, you ready? Oh, God. All right. That is hard to follow. All right, I'll do a different one this way, okay? So, number one first, just like push your head forward. Are you sure you are? All right, here we go. So, I'm going to do a different style bully drill. I got like hundreds of them. All right. Yo, what's up, man? Yo, freaky loser. Hey, best friend, what are you doing? Are we going to the mall today? We always go to the mall today. Are we going to go?
Well, actually, I have to.
But you're my best friend. Hello? What do you mean you work? You can't just stop me in my bed. What are you doing? Hey, best friend! Hello? You're my best friend.
Relax.
had friends of yours that have laughed at people, snickered at people, and we shake our heads and we just go along with it, or we just pretend maybe it didn't happen. That's a tough thing to do. I way over sensationalized that one, right? But I was just pretending she was my best friend. And a lot of kids would start engaging. And then I'll try and get her to do it with me. It becomes pretty awkward and uncomfortable. She didn't even let it get to that far, so she did a great job. Give her a big hand. High school presentation with some slam poetry, but I just found that kids just love doing bully drills even when they're older. You know why? Because kids like to have fun, right? And I always tell teachers, I say, taking fun out of education might be called abuse. Right? That's how they learn that. Give them a hand one more time. I'm going to get you all out of here. I'm a little bit over, but let me just make one last quick comment. I believe with all my heart that I know with all my heart that all of you have hope inside of you that you could give to other people. There are a few of you in here today that will choose to jump into action and you'll become someone's hero. But be very careful because the tiny little print on the bottom of that cape says use caution, it will change your life forever. All of you have the power to become someone's hero. Go give Rick and Amos one more big hand.
How about one more round of applause? A couple things I want to say. One being that I know Tom would and Rick would want me to say is that let's make sure that you take what they said today and just not use it today. And I don't even mean just use it while you're here at Shays that you use it after your time is done here. The other people I want to thank for this especially is there's 3 great community members who are back there from the Parker family. Oh, 4 now. The Parker family back there from Parker Chevrolet. They were the ones who sponsored Rick and Tom coming here today. So we really do appreciate that, and a great round of applause for those. Enjoyed this today, and please, as I said, take this beyond the rest of this school day, the rest of the school year, and beyond today. And remember, just please try to do the best you can. Always care for each other and be kind to each other. Okay? Well, have a great day, and you guys need to report to third period class. Thank you.
We're out in the hallway now. Mr. Bill Bosley is hard at work here. But we're not going to talk to Bill. We're going to talk to this guy here, Rala Parker. Rala, I got an email a couple days ago telling me all about this and mentioned that Parker Chevrolet was underwriting all this. How did that come to be?
Well, this is something we do as a Chevy dealer in our area in the North Country. A few years ago, we started with Puppets for Education. That was more for the younger kids about bullying and drugs and stuff like that. We're just trying to make people aware of the problems that are around. And this was a tough one.
Yeah, that's the program we just saw. They're going to repeat it for the other younger kids here, and obviously not quite as long a program, a different way of doing it. So you're going to stay for the whole day, or you're going to go back to work?
Well, we're going to be here. I'm hoping we get a free lunch. That's what we're looking
That's why
for.
you're here.
Yeah, that's why I'm here mainly. But it was really something. A few of the kids had to leave because it hit home.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what brings it all together, I think. It's a great community, great school.
So I want to acknowledge this and congratulate you for doing this kind of stuff. It's important, and obviously you've got some class people up there. So I'm sure, without getting into the cost, this is not something that just costs you $20 to get these people here. So I don't want to get into the cost, but obviously you're going to a good expense to make all this happen.
Right, and we'd like to do this in a few more schools, but it's not free.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. So, good.
Keep up the good work,
you.
Rolla. Thank you. Rolla Parker.